Work is holding you back from getting the physique you want. And here's how. Gents, if you haven't already, check out the free Kickstarter to six-pack shredded. The link's in the description below, and it's the exact guide you need to get six-pack shredded. So how is work holding you back? Guys, I've worked in the corporate world for about 6-7 years. I've recently left corporate employment to go full-time with Lean HQ, my own online fitness business. Through those 7 years, I tried different things. But one thing I did do throughout the 7 years, and you might not be popular doing that, although more people are doing it now, and it's meal prepping. So look, one of the things that's definitely holding you back when it comes to work is just the organization. Look, it's so common now. People do their meal prep on a Sunday, etc. But don't give in to distractions. If you're organized, you're planned, you know what you're making for work. If you're doing 3 to 4 office days, for example, and you work in London, just make lunches according to that. But the key thing here is, it's all right me telling you, oh yeah, to meal prep, etc. But I think you need to meal prep things that you actually enjoy it, because the one thing I noticed is I would sometimes have my own lunch because I didn't want to waste it, and then get lunch on top of that. The last place I worked, they had really good healthy foods. Obviously, you always got the ciabattas, the baguettes, etc. But they did a carvery. I did really nice salad bowls, poke bowls, I think they're called. So if you can make yourself 3 to 4 really nice lunches with some effort, I think that will definitely help you from temptations, because a lot of the time during lunch, you know, your colleagues might ask you to go out for lunch. They might want to, they might want to have a bit of a networking lunch. And I think that's just where you have to be firm, and you have to kind of just stick to what you need to do, right? Because no one's forcing you, so you don't need to feel pressured. Another thing I've noticed at work, more recently anyway, you're always going to have perks. I used to work at Unilever, there was free ice cream, so it's kind of hard not to say yes to that at the end of your lunch, grab a little ice cream pot. I think it's just, one thing you can do when it comes to managing those temptations, etc. A lot of them will always be snacks. Work might bring in some donuts, someone might bring in some biscuits. You're always going to go for a coffee or a tea at work as well. A lot of employment places have free fruit, which is always handy. Obviously, you want to keep yourself hydrated. But one thing you could do is definitely take some snacks to work. If you've got a cupboard, could you take some rice cakes? Could you take some protein bars? Could you take some protein powder? So those are the type of things I would definitely start doing. Another thing with work, and it's just being smarter. You're often struggling when it comes to an office day. You're often struggling to get to the gym, whether that's in the morning or the evening. Or it's people who go in the evening. You come back from work. Look, I used to be there. The commute's tiring. It's a lot of people. You're drained. Your mind's probably working a bit more at work. Probably having to fake work a bit, and you might have had more meetings, more in-person interactions, and that's going to really drain you. The last thing you want to be doing is going to the gym. And look, I did do that for a period before lockdown, but I was training with someone. That also helps, but it's tough. If you're not a morning person, if you're not someone who likes to go to the gym in the morning and you prefer going in the evening, it depends how many days you go to the gym. If you're in the office 3 days a week, you've still got 4 other days to go to the gym. You might not want to do sessions Saturday and Sunday. I think it's just about being organized, right? Can you go to the gym 1 day out of the 3 office days? That's something you need to think about. Write down the days you're going to go, and that will help you be consistent. It will help put off not going to the gym because you had a long day. And look, I've been there as little as a few months ago. So we're in July now, and I finished at the end of April. And I started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu 1 month before I finished my corporate employment. And there were days I was coming back from the office, walking back from the station, just wouldn't want to go after work. You're shattered, you're low on energy. You just want to go home and relax. You want to eat a bit of food, get into bed and just chill, doom scroll like a little lazy bum, which we all are in the evenings, right? Look, I think it's just being sensible and, being realistic with your schedule. Another reason work is holding you back, and, something you can do about it, is managing work events. Look, work events is bigger than ever now. That we've kind of gone past the lockdown period. Look, we still have working from home and remote working, but work events, especially depending on the sector, you're gonna have client meetings, you're gonna have things after work, you might have work socials. That's really important for collaboration within your teams. And I think this is more for those who have a lot of work drinks, client meetings, and I think it just comes down to willpower and decision making. How do you go about those? Do you have to drink at every work social? I have a client who works with other clients in his respective field. I think it's insurance. He talks about having a drink or two, but now he started to understand he doesn't necessarily need to have a drink. Why can't he have water? If there's nibbles, he can have a few nibbles. But I think the biggest thing is the mentality. So the biggest thing with these socials is just having the right mentality and not letting them be an excuse to just pig out, binge eat, etc. Overall, just to summarize, being smart with a meal prep, be creative, be exciting. Another thing is your schedule management. Manage your schedule and be realistic with when you can go to the gym. Don't go on office days if you're fucking knackered. Snacking at work. Get yourself a fucking locker and put your healthier snacks there. Yeah? Not just Haribos and crisps. Popcorn, fruit, rice cakes, protein bars, protein shakes. The other thing was obviously work socials, having the right mentality and mindset towards them and knowing you can still make sensible choices. So look, overall, hope this helps. Like I said, I've worked in the city for 7 odd years, multiple companies, worked in big offices, and I know the pain. But look, if you want to get the physique you want, you need to work around real life. Work is a big part of our life. Those techniques should help you. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next video, gents.